Okay, in this video I am going to mix mica powder for the grayish silver color I need and blue acrylic paint into the epoxy and put it on this football cup. So I mixed 10 ml of epoxy. I'm going to do half and half blue and the other half silver mica. You want to make sure you get all your epoxy. Mix it up. Let it sit for about 2 minutes. You can heat it with your gun to get the bubbles out. And the mica powder comes in these little handy packets. You're going to mix a little scoop of it for each one. This mica powder, I'll put a link below. I got it on Amazon, and it comes with a little scoop, so that's kind of good, so we know how much to use. Here's my little scoop. You see it? So I'm putting that in 1/2 of my epoxy. See how pretty that is? That silver gray color. That's the color I need. This is going to be a Dallas football. This football is a football shaped cup. It's from Dollar Tree. And here's the blue. I might mix a little white later if I feel like it needs it. You don't need a lot of paint. You don't really want a lot of paint because it kind of gets gummy if you use too much paint. See, that wasn't very much. Just put a little squirt in there. I'm going to start off, I started off by washing my cup with soap Dawn. And I'm just going to start putting the paint on. This is the blue. This is the closest to the Dallas Cowboy blue I could find. You can try, I did a Texans one and I did mix some black in there to get it darker. This is going to stay white. I'll do that white after. Put the blue on, as all the blue you want. Just depends, none of these are going to ever look exactly the same. You can use your fingers or, like a, a popsicle stick, but I like using paintbrushes. There are certain spots that you want to concentrate on, so you just put your paint there. Like I just want the ends to be blue. So you let your glue go for a little while. If you feel like it needs more. The problem some people have with epoxy is it starts to dry on, it starts to settle on them, but you can mix some up while this is turning if you want. This one I had mixed up a little earlier and it's still okay to use. Don't be afraid to use epoxy. It's gonna, even if it were to set up on you, you can just remove it if you don't like the way it looks before it dries. The best time to mess with it is as soon as, like the first 20 minutes of getting it on. So if you're not gonna like somewhere where it's at, So what I think for this size football, you're probably going to need just 10 in the blue, because I just had some that I mixed up earlier. I thought it was setting up too quick, and I just mixed some more blue in there. This is just going to turn, and it's going to move around on its own. So there's all the blue. Next is going to be the gray. This is Dallas Cowboys blue and gray. You can have white mixed up, but for this video I didn't do the white. The white's going to go here on both sides. I'll do that after I get my gray on. I should have saved some of that. So now we got blue, the gray, the silver. I'm going to drizzle the silver on so it could just find its own spot to go to. Try to keep them separate because these will meld to each other. See, the mica, you just mix it in with your epoxy. See how pretty that is? You don't need a lot. Don't waste your mica powder. You just put enough in there to color it. I might do my centers in silver, but I think that the logo has white in it. I gotta look at my logo again and do the white. So while this is turning right now, I'm going to quickly mix up some more white and let it sit for about a couple of minutes. And maybe get some more mica, some more silver mica in there. The epoxy is going to move around with the blue in it. I have a little more blue left here. I'm going to mix it in. I'm just going to pour it on there to fill in the colors. You want the glass filled in as much as you can. Some people say that like their epoxy didn't cover and left little holes. When you see little areas that aren't getting covered, you can move your epoxy there to cover the spots. Just move your epoxy around. I'm going to mix some more color. Mix for my white and I think another blue, but this time on my blue I'm going to put in some black to make it just a little, I don't know, I can't remember Dallas Cowboys if they're dark. Let me look. I'm Houston, so yeah, it's a little bit darker than that. This color that I'm using is Real Navy, is the name of it. But it doesn't look that dark to me. When you're putting these colors together, or this epoxy, you don't want to wait so long to put your color in. You can put it in pretty quickly once you're mixing, because this really, the bubbles you can get out once you get all your paint on, and you just heat it with your gun and get the bubbles out. You can pop some bubbles with just a little stick, or if you see bubbles, just put the heat gun on it. This is going to take another coat, so it can easily be, if you don't like the way it looks, you can easily sand out bubbles, but I know some people don't like sanding. So you're gonna go with your color. I'm gonna put some more color on it. I'm gonna heat my epoxy a little that I just mixed, just to, some bubbles, and heat the epoxy that's on. Anytime you're adding epoxy to something that's already got epoxy on it, you want to heat it up so it'll accept the new epoxy. And now I'm just using a stick so you can see the difference of different ways you can put it on. I used a brush earlier. I might use my brush for the silver. I don't know. Let's just see how easy it pours. This is going to be pretty cut with the silver. See, that mica that I used said gray, but it's so pretty. Mica powder is so glittery that it looks silver, which you can add it. Like if I wanted this blue to be glittery, I could add blue. The mica powder set that I got does not have a dark blue. The color was blueberry, and it looked kind of like, I think if you have a blue that's too light, you can add maybe black to it, but very little, because you don't want it to get weird. And it might react. Sometimes black reacts and turns green, so be careful doing that. I did do it with my acrylic paints when I wanted to do the Texans football one. So again, this football cup, they have them at Dollar Tree, and it's just a glass cup. At the end, when you're done with this, you mix your, you put another coat of just plain epoxy on it. Trying to make sure I get full coverage color on this color. See how it's moving? This mica will move. The good thing is that it's glass and you can see the football underneath that. That's how you know it's not getting full coverage. So you let it move around a little. You don't want to put a lot of color on it. What will happen if you put too much, even with any kind of art you do, any kind of painting, if you put too much color, it's gonna all mix in together. It's called being muddied. So you don't want to do that. You want to let it find its level, let the epoxy move. If you feed it, the epoxy will move. And it takes the paint with it. I see some areas that aren't getting covered. I might go back with some blue. I'm mixing my white for my for the logo. But you can be mixing more epoxy if you need it while it's turning, and you can just add it with the mica or the acrylic paint. I'm going to show you guys, I got these syringes at Walmart at the pharmacy section, and I made a hole in my resin bottles. And that's how I mix it. It's so easy. It's quick mixing. When you look at your football or your tumbler, whatever you're doing, if you see spots that aren't getting covered, you can move this around and it will smooth out. But you got to do it soon, as soon as you put your stuff on, because you don't want it to get hard and try to do it, because then it's going to be all gummy. And be careful with your paints so you don't mix them all up together. So just let it move around for a while. This glass, you can leave spots that you can still see through it. This is a football, beer football glass. It's got the stitching. I'm gonna need some more silver. You want to let it spin around, and in about an hour, if you see that it needs more color, you can mix some more epoxy up and fill it in. If you feel like it's not getting filled in, you got too much color on there, right, just let it sit and come back in an hour. It's going to move around and you're going to see a big difference. You might be okay with it, you might not. So you can mix some more epoxy up and add it to the one you already have in there. This epoxy, well, when you're going to add it, also what you need to do is make sure that you heat up the epoxy that's been spinning for 1 hour, and then put the new epoxy on, because you want this new epoxy, you want the old epoxy to accept the new epoxy. You don't have to do it like this. You can stop it, stop the turning, and put the white logo on. But this is pretty good too. It still has to turn. I do stop it and make sure it's all even in a minute. But I'm gonna let it, I want it to turn for a minute, because you want this to be smooth. With these football cups, they have this little stitching on the side like a football. Sometimes I'll just go on the stitches just to make them more pronounced. It doesn't have to be perfect, because this is going to be like a swirl of paints. You'd be surprised how pretty these turn out. Doesn't matter how you do it or what you do, you just put your paint on there and let it do its job. These mica powders, you might think it's expensive, but you don't use very much at all. It picks up a lot of color. So what I'm going to do right now is stop it for a minute while it's on this white spot. And I'm going to do my white. Just to make sure it's shaped like the little oval that's here for the logo. Doesn't have to be perfect, because what I do too is I bring paint up from like the silver. It's going to come up and hit this. Oops, it's tripping. If you see your page start to trip at the bottom, go ahead and start your churning again. You don't want it to start to drip. Starla, don't bark. That's my pup. Okay, I'm going to stop it one more time to get that other logo white on, and then we're done. We're going to let it spin. It'll spin for a few hours. I'm going to check it in an hour. If I don't like the way it looks, I'm going to add some more color. But these are all up to you. Everyone is different, so you make it how you feel like you want it. One thing that is cool when you do these is the white you can get your paints and bring them up into the white. It looks really cool. I did that with my Texans one, but it's got to be kind of wet. So if you want to see more videos, make sure you click subscribe, and I'll share information of what I use. And if you have any questions, if you see me on Facebook, you can ask. I will message you, I will let you know, I will help you out. You can make your epoxy look however you want. Don't be afraid of epoxy, because it's not that hard to do. The bottom, I'm going to leave it blank for now because I'm putting my logo there, and I'm also just probably going to seal it with epoxy, not really put any paint on it. Some people wait a lot longer than the 2 or 3 minutes to apply their epoxy, and they say they get better results for not having bubbles and stuff like that. You don't want to get fish eyes in that, so you need to make sure that you have a heat. This little lamp I have on here keeps it warm. It gets pretty warm. And the whole time it's turning, I have this little lamp on it. But I wanted to show you the epoxy with the mica. And that's it. When I'll post the link to the mica powder. I did it on the Facebook group. So now you just let it turn. Look how pretty that's getting. You don't have to do a thing to it. Just let it turn. There are going to be some bare spots because it's glass, but it'll mostly be covered. You still, like I said, can go back and cover it again if you don't like the way it looks. Okay, thanks for watching.